Hi, it's Vince with ShamWow. You'll be saying
Tablet
wow
mode
every time
award
you use this
for
towel.
worst
It's like a
visuals.
chamois, it's like a towel, it's like a sponge.
Nominees are
Oh, there's a guy. Ah! Dude,
Player Unknown
I'm
Battlegrounds,
gonna get banned. This is the ban right here, dude. It's 100%. I see his friend. You see that?
Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Nidhogg 2, Lawbreakers,
All right, what happened? To who? To who?
Mass
And your
Effect,
goddamn
Andromeda.
father. Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything. And right now, I just want to know what happened with Alec, not how he died.
And the winner is Mass Effect, Andromeda.
BioWare's graphics have never truly been top-notch, but they've never been shy to show what a game will look like as a final product. Dragon Age 2 in particular was notorious for having some of the worst promotional images V has ever seen. The unveiling of Mass Effect Andromeda, however, would result in a plethora of bull shots and pre-rendered cinematic footage devised entirely for the gaming press, which, sadly, wasn't all that impressive. By the time the first trailer had uploaded to YouTube, V had already churned out countless WebMs from the reveal hours earlier. When the game released in March, it wasn't as bad as we all thought it would be. It was immensely worse. Somehow they skipped the part where you downgrade the game from the E3 promo and went straight to the part where you begin to deconstruct it. From horrid bugs to insane glitches, graphics, and animation that even made its own fans groan, BioWare's ineptitude slipped through the cracks once more. But who can really blame them? They're only human, after all.
Guilty Pleasure Award for the game I like but behaves. Nominees are Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Doki Doki Literature Club, Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, Danganronpa Version 3, Killing Harmony, Horizon Zero Dawn, and the winner is Doki Doki Literature Club.
This game managed to do what we all wish visual novels could: shatter the hopes and dreams of countless weebs everywhere. Doki Doki Literature Club came out of nowhere and attracted a ton of attention for what seemed to be another shitty free-to-play waifu sim. A quick glance without reading into the game would indicate that it's like any other VN, focused on 4 cute anime girls and that all is well. But the further you play, the more you begin to realize things aren't quite as they seem. Of course, this hint is dropped the moment you look at Steam's tags, but it dedicates so much time to building up this facade that you would eventually just forget about them. Team Salvato's efforts in keeping up the charade at least tries to let blind runs be done properly, baiting in streamers from across the globe to make silly faces for free cash. Still, with fame comes infamy, as the game's 400-plus general count would come to pollute the once pleasant discussions on V. There are a few who still hold on to the foolish thought that maybe someday it can be discussed once more. But until then, they'll bide their time and wait, making a few more dozen threads, asking what the board thought of it. Seriously, take that shit to VG. Seal of Quality Award. The nominees are PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, For Honor, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Mass Effect Andromeda, the numbers are in. Mass Effect Andromeda. Here we are, nearly a year after launch, and it still plays like it wasn't even tested. We all expected it to be a disaster from the previews, but holy fuck! We didn't expect it to be this bad. Massive slowdowns in performance, models and textures popping in, awful motion capture rigging, embarrassingly obvious oversights, the list just goes on. The game was notorious for having far too many goals in mind for their small and inexperienced team, but by the time they had trimmed down the fat and found what they wanted to make, 5 years had passed, and their $40 million budget had already been blown through. As many bad games as EA has published, I don't think it's too often that an entire major studio branch gets shut down after their first game in an established series. Regardless of whether or not you think the game is redeemable in other respects, it's hard to deny the obvious technical flaws that remain to this day. We're still not quite sure how they expected to shove this out the door and not get any flack for it, but I guess crunch time is a hell of a drug. Hyperbole Award. The nominees are Sonic Mania, Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, Death Stranding, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, the numbers are in. Death Stranding. Some of us had the sneaking suspicion that this was Snake's next sneaking mission. And with the release of the new trailer, our hunch was finally confirmed. Another decent piece of direction in Hideo Kojima's portfolio. We live in hyperbolic hope that the games can replicate this consistent quality.
No, I'm sick of this fucking shit. You caused this to sweep multiple years in a row. Guess what the winner of next year's Best Trailer Award is gonna be? It goes to fucking Metal Gear Solid 5 as well. Fuck you. I quit.
You thought it was over? 3 fucking years of this shit. Okay, let's cut to the chase right here. The Japanese hype man is really fucking good at making trailers. Kojima-san. Hi, it's me, Duke. If you could just release this fucking game, pretty please, I'm fucking begging you. Plot and Backstory Award. The nominees are Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Persona 5, Nier Automata, Senran Kagura, Peach Beach Splash, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, the numbers are in. Nier Automata. The shocking surprise that nobody could have predicted. 2B's salacious fartbox has completely crushed the competition this year, though unfortunately not me. Call it what you will. Dump truck, derriere, 2 scoops, sweet rolls, little debbies, meat seats, jiggle jams, pudding cups. It matters not. The insatiable smell taunts us like a steaming ribeye, topped with a drizzle of au jus. Even Platinum knew what you were expecting. I mean, come on. The game gives you an achievement for trying to see up her disk drive. But that's not all she has going for her either, you may point out. Those smooth, high-heeled boots, that perfectly placed keyhole, the blindfold so she can't see your embarrassingly small erection. She's strong, she's kind, and she doesn't rely on being saved by other characters. No matter what you're into, she has something to appeal towards everyone. Yes, 2B has truly earned her place amongst the gaming goddesses, giving a new meaning to the phrase, robot. Oh, and A9 exists too, yes. Aesthetics Award. Cuphead. Though Studio MDHR lacks the prestigious polish that can only come from a $200,000 Cal Arts degree, Cuphead harks back to the golden age of animation, something that South Korean slaves, sadly, have been unable to recreate. Studio MDHR worked painstakingly hard on every frame of animation with such passion that it's probably the first animation CO has enjoyed in the last decade. Hi guys. The character designs are spot on, the score is diverse, and its animations and effects are both gorgeous. The boys did their research, setting the standards for an art style that had never really been done all that well before. From vivid colors to fascinating new ideas, Cuphead is the result of just a few lads who loved games so much they wanted to share that love with everyone else in the world.
Kamige Award. The nominees are Play Home, Melty's Quest, Emoto Paradise 2, Mon Musu Quest, Paradox 2nd, Nico Para Volume 3, The numbers are in. Nico Para Volume 3.
A cat is fine too. A cat harem is even finer. Nico Para's back for its third, technically fourth installment, and drags you back to the Catgirl Bakery, La Soleil, to embrace this honestly degenerate and shameless world. Once again, you're put back into the control of Kashu to solve whatever problems that Cinnamon and Maple may come across with lessons on comforting people. Joined by their numerous friends, conveniently spanning several different body and personality types, you run your little shop and handle plenty of spoons and cream while you spoon and cream. Remember to lock your door, turn up chest bounce for maximum jiggling, and get that H-scene box ticked for a hell of a good time.
Worst Publisher Award. The nominees are Electronic Arts, Activision, Bethesda, BioWare, Konami, the numbers are in. Electronic Arts.
For a company with 2 giant golden toids on their mantle, you'd imagine they would eventually start to get the hint. Yet for I don't even know how many years in a row, EA has fucked us once more and never even bothered to call in the morning. Whether it's nickel and diming your dedicated fans or pissing off the ones belonging to another franchise entirely, EA's shitty practices continue to scourge the gaming world more and more every year. Between the Star Wars lovers, the Mass Effect fan base, and the general gaming community as a whole, I'm not sure who should be the most upset. Unfortunately, it looks like yet again they failed to learn a single lesson from their controversies, as they're already back at it again. I've gotta say, it takes some serious dedication on their part to effectively piss off half the internet every other week. But spending that much time and effort should give them a good sense of pride and accomplishment every time they finally win these awards.
I'm in this for the money.
Niche Award. The nominees are Etrian Odyssey 5, Beyond the Myth. Dot Hack GU Last Recode. Puyo Puyo Tetris. Snake Pass. Wonder Boy, The Dragon's Trap. The numbers are in. Puyo Puyo Tetris. The 6 of us who actually bought this game must be pretty pumped right now, I'd imagine. Yes, it's the best of both worlds, bringing together a Titanic series and Puyo Puyo, long forgotten by both East and West, to some unholy communion dedicated to nervous laughter and ripping out hair. The game's fun story mode will give you some laughs and ease you into the mechanics, but may God have mercy on your soul when it comes to the 2 games swapping out or fusing together like some kind of inbred Voltron. Puyo Puyo Tetris slipped under everyone's radar as a result of Sega focusing on Sonic and Miku this year, but it seems to have found its place among the fans. It's merciless, it's balls to the wall, it's got cute girls, even cuter blocks, and it's so goddamn fun that it fit this award like an eye block in the corner of your grid.
I wrote a haiku.
Pickles Award.
Oh, wait. I need to put on my monocle first.
The nominees are Night in the Woods, Lawbreakers, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, Doki Doki Literature Club, The numbers are in. Life is strange before the storm. Can somebody tell me why this game exists? Why even bother playing it, knowing full well what happens to them in the original game? None of them are really great enough characters to justify more. We all knew Chloe was a middle-aged writer's attempt at sounding young. The last thing we needed was for them to try and sound younger. Was it made to give us more insight as to why we should hate everything and everybody in this town? To make it all the more satisfying to see her in that bed as an invalid? Basically everything that happens in this game just makes you further hate everyone in this town, but it does so with a slightly different coat of paint. Prequels are hard to master, especially when they're centered around dead characters. But let's just hope we won't be seeing the series drudged up again anytime soon. Wait. Shit. Don't Nod already announced that they were working on a sequel. See you again next year. Perhaps this one will be set at a time before Chloe was born.
Hall A Award for Best Writing and/or Story. Nominees are Persona 5, Doki Doki Literature Club, Nier Automata, Divinity Original Sin 2,
The monsters swarmed. The rebel panic. The carnage began. And the
Yakuza 0, and the winner is Nier Automata.
Taro sure does love his storytelling, doesn't he? An adventure through post-apocalyptic Earth culminates in several different endings, some heartbreaking, some silly, all establishing the narrative through different perspectives and mediums. Remember, this is a game in which the player doesn't get the full story unless they beat it 5 times. Nier thrives on the interactions between 9S and 2B to help further flesh out their characters, and uses side quests to reveal important information about the world of Automata. The game manages to be the more optimistic of the Drakengard series, showing how humanity and its creations can escape the cycle of violence and hatred. Of course, like the game itself, we have 26 ways to end this speech, but only one of them ends the way you want.
Art Award. The nominees are
Now you bring Super Special back in and you put him down.
Grace Walker,
Shove this grenade so far up your ass, I'll be dancing and rejoicing as your entrails trickle down from the ceiling. You dig, man?
Chloe Price,
Forgot Rachel.
Aiden Versio,
But you do, Aiden. You deserve to live in peace. Go. Survive. Live.
Ryder,
However, the Remnant City is not without defenses, and this is its central command.
Remnant defenses. Of course. Use them against the cat.
PP, The numbers are in.
PB.
PB gives credit to the phrase, looks aren't everything. That's why she's here. Her personality is just as obnoxious. BioWare's usual take on the quirky, silly, femme fatale super genius has been played time and time again in the past. But where others like Tali and Liara manage to garner some affection due to their underplayed, quiet nature, Tali best waifu, it becomes increasingly obvious that those personalities don't carry over well, especially if the character is intentionally trying to appear that way. Her goofball antics are just as jarring in several situations where, even for a BioWare game, you expect a level of seriousness. Advancing your relationship with her requires some dumb decisions and equally stupid lines. Everything about her character feels like it was written ironically, as if your crew should have eliminated her when they had the chance. 'Twas awards night on 4chan, and all through the stream, we looked back at the vidya, the culture, and memes. A good crop we had on the Switch and the Bone, and PS4 had a few things of its own. As gamers, we're cunning and smarter than foxes. We'll love what you do if you can the loot boxes. And 4chan and Reddit and what's left of GAF could join in this night for a cringe and a laugh. The next winner's pleasant, beloved wide and far. It's the Comfy Award, and the nominees are A Hat in Time, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild, Hollow Knight, Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5. And the winner is... Come, young Anon, take a seat on my lap. Today we'll talk about a game that's not crap. A game where you can run, soar, and fly. A game where you can stop and take a deep sigh. A big old world with sights to see and seeds to collect anywhere you can be. You've got horses and shrines and dynamic grass and a cute little Zelda with a tight little ass. A game you can play naked in confinement. See that mountain? That's right. You can climb it. Hate Machine Award. The nominees are EA, loot boxes, SJWs, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Creation Club, the numbers are in. EA. At some point we'll need to stop having this fucking award. EA probably had one of their worst years in history, as it failed to deliver anything good with multiple games like Mass Effect Andromeda and Star Wars Battlefront 2. But then there's the elephant in the room. Look, it's not unheard of to milk the shit out of your games, but usually the publishers aren't dumb enough to lock half of its actual content behind an array of loot boxes while still charging gamers full price. Unfortunately, this isn't any ordinary stupid we're dealing with here. By setting the requirements to unlock characters so high on launch, it would take people about 40 hours of multiplayer to unlock a single character. To put that into context, you can beat Sonic Forces 10 times in the amount of time it takes to play as Darth Vader or Yoda. But at least they took out the loot boxes, right? Oh, shit, wait. I guess they're coming back already. Well, I guess they can't sell games as a service if they don't charge you for that service. That'll be $4.99, plus tip.
Here we go, I won't cut you slack. It is time to award the best soundtrack. Bing, bing, wahoo.
Bing, bing, wahoo.
Collect all the moons.
Collect all the moons.
Make the cappy fly.
Make the cappy fly.
Dive into their mind.
Dive into their mind.
Dash, jump, and run.
Dash, jump, and run.
Hard games are fun.
Hard games are fun.
It is understood.
It is understood.
You have to get good.
I have to get good?
Catch a robo-fish.
Catch a robo-fish.
Balance out your chips.
Balance out my chips.
After you attack.
After I attack.
Admire Tubi's ass.
Gotta love that ass.
Now fight.
Fight.
Think.
Think.
And dance.
Dance.
And link.
Link.
Now summon.
Summon.
And shoot.
Shoot.
Now give these freaks the boot.
Yeah, give these freaks the boot.
Jump onto a spring.
Jump onto a spring.
Now a giant ring.
Now a giant ring.
When you do get there.
When I do get there.
Outline with a square.
Outline with a square.
Now your flow cannot be ignored, and you will present the Soundtrack Award.
Now my flow, it can't be ignored, and here is the winner of the Soundtrack Award.
Keiichi Okabe presented us with fantastic works with his last two Taro games, and only continues the trend in Automata. Nier Automata's soundtrack covers a wide range of emotions, from somber to cheerful, to tense to peaceful, this time even incorporating dynamic music with as many as 9 different stems dedicated to a single track. A lot of love went into the creation of Automata's soundtrack, and that emotion comes through in each song. It's fast, calming, somber, depressing, joyful, and it blends together perfectly. The entire soundtrack is good in its own right, but it's the subtleties that you would miss without examining it on its own that earned the game its position. Okabe's work shined through, exemplifying his passion for the project, bringing us one of the most dynamic and impressive soundtracks we've ever heard.
Good Deed Award. The nominees are Sonic Mania,
Yes, all right. Well, thank you so much, Reggie. A great announcement. We're excited to hear more about what Nintendo has in 2018. Thank you.
You know, Jeff, you thought I came all the way up here for only one announcement?
I don't know.
Nier Automata. Cuphead. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The numbers are in.
Nintendo threw a real curveball at us with the reveal of the Switch. Just what in the hell was that thing anyway? Nobody really had any clue what to expect, but somehow they put out some fucking great games, and a nifty little device to go with it. Nintendo rose from their ashes like the proverbial phoenix and has churned out what looks to be smashing sales records here and there. They're winning back the trust the Wii U cost them. Learning to adapt and drop some of the more archaic features of video games in the past has helped the quality of their consoles immensely this year. Region locking is gone, storage is no longer read in blocks, most demos aren't limited use, and games update and get DLC without a hassle. The solid first-party titles, remastered Wii U titles that were once overlooked, and a surprising amount of otherwise oddly chosen third-party titles have given it an interesting first-year lineup that landed it some brownie points after the last few years. Hell, even the Metroid fans had some stuff in the pipes for once. Under any other brand, pumping out an underpowered handheld is considered a killing blow. But it's okay when Nintendo does it.
Walking Dead. Undertale. Metal Gear Solid 5. Gone home. And the winner for this award is Gone Home.
You just had to let this fucking game win again because you see Gone Home on the nominee list and you're all like, oh, that game was fucking shit. Well, I'll fucking tell you something, V. Fuck off in this bullshit fucking circle jerk about a walking simulator. There's much worse games out there, considering the fact in 2015 you guys said you hated both the Undertale fan base and the Undertale hate base, and Undertale's there. It's there in pink, shining fucking lights. And what do you fucking do? You vote for Gone fucking Home. Oh, you don't fucking understand my frustration. You wonder why no one likes to go on V. You wonder why people go to fucking Reddit. It's because you can't see through your stupidity and you keep voting for these fucking shit games. The amount of sweeps, it's not our fault. You do realize that, right? We don't rig the awards. You cunts vote Doom in every fucking year or whatever it's for fucking release. And then you go, why did it sweep? If you didn't vote for it, it wouldn't have fucking sweeped. Wouldn't it? You fucking idiots. Fuck off! Fuck off! I hope you like these awards! Go fuck yourself! Fuck off!
High Intelligence Bestowal. I'm doing a PhD in neuroscience after reading a Wikipedia article about it. Nominees for this award are as followed. Bloodshed in the Realms of the Galaxy, a sequel to the previous installment.
Fuck box.
Nazi Bang Bang Shooter, perhaps the best game on
It's
this
not
list.
just a fucking shirt. I got this shirt at Kinross. Only one I
About to yell for help. I interrupt his yell by shoving my axe
The
into the
existence
cage.
that we live in
Please
is
call to
rather
the bars
offbeat.
without hurting
The
him.
time before
Then
a
I say the
calamitous
following.
coincidence.
This is going to be good.
Here's what's up. I'm going to
Massive effects of quantum energy
My
going
father's
by the
dead.
name of
He
Andromeda.
made me his successor.
Alec is dead.
The blue hedgehog of the Aranashini subfamily joining forces with other likewise primates. The champion of this bestowal is awarded to the video game known as Mass Effect Andromeda.
Who on terra firma witnessed this approaching? Excellent abstraction, as we aren't on terra firma though, we're in the Andromeda extragalactic nebulae. A topographic point where we are capable of pretermitting the imperfections of quantum. An unexampled boundary where humanness has ne'er approached prior. A readjust release where we can... And everything went to shit once more. The only fluctuation is that this figure took deuce ace hours to metamorphose time-worn and haggard, aside from Turnian video romps. Andromeda is, perchance, the unsurpassable internal representation of a squandered possibleness, where they could have made a diverting infinite expanse dangerous undertaking where you investigate the macrocosm and substantiate a bridgehead. They settled, as an alternative, to opt for what they're incomparable, or mayhap inferior with. Nervy personation departing on an escapade to terminate an ancient Mephistophelian. It's the unvarying quotidian, performed no better than it was the utmost influence BioWare attempted to fashion an assemblage occupied with attribute and character beyond soapbox theatrical roles. The distressing conception of the cognitive content is the effectuation BioWare approximated Andromeda. It's overt. They cared more astir exploring your squad mate's consistence than ethereal.
そんなあなたにハンカチ落としキャン
The
ペーン
award for best game released in 1997. Nominees are Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Fallout, Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye 007, Final Fantasy VII, and the winner is Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
What is a masterpiece? a game that would go on to establish the direction of the series. If that alone doesn't state how great it was, I don't know what will. For the first time since Castlevania 3, you played as Alucard himself, sprawling through the labyrinth of his father's manor like an open world, searching for Richter and learning the mystery of his strange behavior. Delve through every nook and cranny, you'll even be rewarded with a completely inverted map, doubling the size of the game. Want a new experience? Play Richter mode, giving the game an entirely different pace and playstyle. The expansion on RPG elements lets casuals grind past tough spots, while skillful players can use their reactions and intuition to blow right through it. Symphony of the Night was an adventure in the series like we had never seen before, and is still to this day held in the hearts of millions as one of their favorite games, even after all these years.
The internet is not a big truck. The internet is not something that you just dump something on. The internet is not a big truck. The internet it's a series of tubes. The internet is not a big truck. The internet is not something that you just dump something on. The internet is not a big truck. The internet streaming stuff on the internet. Why? Tubes.
This is Sparta!
Super Mario Galaxy.
The world was not enough for Mario, so he took players to space. Super Mario Galaxy treads that nostalgic and familiar 3D Mario movement people came to expect from Mario 64 and Sunshine, and turned it into something new and original. Every world is unique and different, and every area is captured with that consistent new frontier theme, etched into the music composition. The gravity mechanic was a novel idea that gave the game some great platforming coupled with some fun power-ups, Luigi being Luigi, and introducing the best girl of the series. A solid bing bing wahoo that makes great use of the Wii's controls and introduces a girlfriend mode, so you can spend the evening with the one you love working together. If you thought Galaxy was great though, just wait until the 2020 VGAs when its improved sequel gets nominated.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's Virgin Award.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday you said
The nominees are Cuphead, Hollow Knight, A Hat in Time, Ruiner, Neo, the numbers are in. Cuphead.
Like it was stewing in a crock pot all these years, the longer we waited, the better it got. Yes, the boys got themselves into quite a predicament here, and what an adventure it turns out to be. Cuphead's unique combination of style and substance gives it the cover it needs to lure you in and break your spirit, having both artistic appearances and autistic difficulty. It's certainly had its share of shitposts, but to everyone's surprise, it actually deserves the love and attention of a blockbusting vaudeville thriller. Cuphead's challenging, fun experience is topped off by its big band and ragtime musical score, rubber hose animation, and a lovable cast of silly characters. The game deserves all the recognition it gets. And for once, V is finding itself praising a literal Chad.
Press X to win award for worst gameplay. Nominees are PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Sonic Forces, Mass Effect Andromeda.
You've made this much more difficult, Pathfinder, but not for me.
Joy-Con if you really wanted, but you probably don't. Baby has you take the console out of the dock and hold it like a baby, meaning everyone else in the room has to be told to shut up and hold still. And Zen has you sit perfectly still, or just put the Joy-Con down and leave. The Switch can't actually tell.
More credits available in 3 hours.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
More credits available in 3 hours. We're sorry, you were enjoying arcade mode too much, so we have to stop giving you prizes. I'm sorry.
And the winner is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Andromeda is a showcase of the decade-long metamorphosis the Mass Effect series underwent. From a clunky yet endearing RPG to a generic space shooter with quote-unquote RPG elements. Taking no hints from other open-world games, the environments usually resulted in massive empty areas with little or nothing of value in between points A and B, and some rocks to point your wrist at. The shooting mechanics were painfully average. Online gameplay was almost non-existent after a week. Exploration wasn't that interesting, and your squad was just dreadful to interact with. The original series had some moments of downtime in between the missions, but Andromeda swapped that and now you have missions in between downtime. In the end, the troubled development process shines through the smoke and mirrors, as just about every aspect that they sought to improve upon with such an overplanned sequel ended up downgraded in some way from its predecessors. Think back to Mass Effect 1 and how much time you spent just randomly shooting your pistol on the Citadel. The most entertaining part of Andromeda was doing that, but with your jetpack.
Hello, fellow Posters Award. The nominees are Star Wars Battlefront 2, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Lawbreakers, Horizon Zero Dawn, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, The numbers are in. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
A wise man once told me, "Sir, you have to pay for that lo mein." I don't speak Mandarin, but those words really stuck with me as I brisked out of the restaurant, faster than my mind could think, just like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. You could record yourself enjoying it, and it comes in varying levels of salt content. And like my lifetime ban from that wise man's restaurant, PUBG results in its own Hunger Games, where one struggles to survive against the odds as they scrounge around for whatever they can find. Truly a remarkable experience, unlike anything you could ever imagine. You should stop playing Fortnite and purchase PUBG so that you too can know what this experience is like. And hell, convince your friends to buy it too. It's best experienced in groups. Don't forget about buying on the Xbox One to play with all your console friends. Just make sure it's an Xbox One X for the best experience. It's the most played game on Steam after all. 3 million peak players can't be wrong.
Most Hated Award. The nominees are
PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Mass Effect Andromeda, Lawbreakers, Destiny 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2,
The numbers are in.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Like some strange, bizarro world, 2017's Battlefront 2 is to decay as Pandemic's Battlefront 2 is to improvement. They had their license, they had their prequel, they had their feedback, and they did nothing with it. The areas they did decide to build upon, such as the addition of a single-player campaign or more heroes in multiplayer, were hindered by low quality and a pay-to-win loot box scheme, respectively. Think back to the older titles in the Star Wars franchise. The games branched out into so many different genres, from MMOs to racing games to flight simulators. We got to play in the expanded universe as Kyle Katarn in the Jedi Knight series. Star Wars was able to apply itself across the board, and they were able to do it well. Now, however, we're going to forever be reduced to Battlefield reskins, whether you like it or not. When Iger himself calls you up to ask what the hell you're doing, you know you fucked up. And as flawed as the other games on this list are, none can say they've earned the wrath of the mouse.
Hi, Billy Mays here. Are you tired of all-purpose cleaners?
Least Worst Award.
Then you need OxyClean Miracle Foam.
The nominees are Nier Automata, The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, Cuphead, the numbers are in. Nier Automata.
Providing the conclusion to the Nier storyline and wrapping up one of the Drakengard universes, Yoko Taro gave us a fantastic set of characters, gameplay, and storytelling in Automata. The game sets out to end the cycle of violence and destruction Earth has been infested with since the departure of humanity. But this process is complicated when our heroes no longer become pawns in the grand scheme of things, but self-aware of their destiny. It's no surprise this won last year's Best Timeline Award, because when humanity fails, who else will come to pick up the pieces? Platinum Games is no stranger to the VGAs, but they truly outdid themselves this time, picking up awards that earlier games like Metal Gear Rising and Bayonetta 2 couldn't reach. Their handiwork is apparent, giving us a fun, fast-paced, and extreme sense of satisfaction as we follow this crowd of characters to the very end. And each time you think it's over, there's another arc of story on the horizon. Instead of badgering the player for loose change at every turn, the game puts your money to work on this fully featured experience, granting unique perspectives for the player on each run. Far from a new game plus, this technique further incentivizes you to catch every piece of information or content that slipped by, and most won't be satisfied until you discovered it all. Rarely does a hack-and-slash RPG come made with this much love and attention crafted into it. But Automata turned out to be that game. In a year that featured some of gaming's most blockbuster titles, Nier Automata rose above the competition, showing once more that hard work pays off.